My girlfriend's male best friend was obviously in love with her. She called me paranoid until this happened. Hey everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm sharing this because I need to get it off my chest. And honestly, I want to know if I handled this situation correctly. This story is about trust, intuition, and what happens when you're right about something you wish you'd been wrong about. My name is Alex, and this story is about my relationship with my now ex-girlfriend Emma and her so-called best friend Ryan. I put that in quotes because, well, you'll understand why by the end of this. Emma and I had been dating for about 10 months when this whole mess started. We met through mutual friends at a college party, and I was immediately drawn to her. She was smart, funny, beautiful, and had this infectious laugh that could light up any room. We clicked instantly, and within a few weeks, we were officially together. Everything was going great until I started noticing Ryan's behavior. Emma had told me about him early in our relationship. They'd been friends since high school, went to different colleges but stayed in touch, and had recently both moved to the same city after graduation. She always talked about him fondly, calling him her oldest friend and someone who really gets her. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, everyone has opposite-sex friends, right? I wasn't one of those jealous boyfriends who couldn't handle their girlfriend having male friends. But Ryan was different from the start. The first red flag was how often he texted Emma. And I'm not talking about normal friend communication, I'm talking about constant, throughout the day messaging. Emma's phone would buzz every few minutes, and 9 times out of 10, it was Ryan. He'd send her memes, random thoughts, complaints about his day, questions about her day, inside jokes, basically everything you'd expect from someone's boyfriend, not their friend. What really got to me was how Emma would light up whenever she got a message from him. She'd smile this special smile, sometimes even laugh out loud, and immediately text him back. Meanwhile, when I texted her during the day, I'd be lucky to get a response within a few hours. But the texting was just the beginning. Ryan had this subtle way of undermining our relationship that was so clever, I almost admired it. He never directly said anything bad about me, but he'd make these little comments that planted seeds of doubt in Emma's mind. For example, Emma would mention that we went to this new Italian restaurant for dinner, and Ryan would text something like, "Oh, that place? Yeah, I took Sarah there last month." Pretty basic choice, but I guess it's fine for people who don't know the city's hidden gems. Then he'd recommend some obscure place that only real foodies would know about. Or Emma would tell him about a movie we saw together, and he'd respond with, "Really? I'm surprised Alex picked something so mainstream. I thought he had better taste than that. You should watch some indie film instead, it's much more your style." The worst part was how he'd frame these comments. He'd always start with something like, "I'm not trying to be mean, but," or "I'm just looking out for you, Em." It was like he was positioning himself as the protective friend who could see things Emma couldn't, and it was working. I started noticing Emma becoming more critical of things we did together. She'd make comments about how maybe we should try more interesting restaurants, or suggest movies that were clearly Ryan's recommendations. She even started using phrases that I'd never heard her use before, phrases that sounded exactly like Ryan's way of speaking. About 3 months into this pattern, I decided to bring it up with Emma. I chose my words carefully because I didn't want to sound controlling or jealous. I told her I felt like Ryan seemed to have some strong opinions about our relationship, and asked if she'd noticed it too. Emma's response surprised me. She got immediately defensive and said I was being insecure and paranoid. She said Ryan was just being a good friend who cared about her happiness, and that I was reading too much into normal friendly conversation. "Ryan's been my friend for years, Alex," she said. "He knew me long before you did. He's just looking out for me because he cares." I tried to explain that it wasn't about him caring, it was about how he seemed to be constantly trying to make me look bad or make her question our relationship. But Emma wasn't having it. She said I was being ridiculous and that I needed to trust her judgment about her own friendships. So I backed off. I figured maybe she was right. Maybe I was reading too much into things. But Ryan's behavior didn't stop. If anything, it got worse. He started calling her more frequently, often late at night. Emma would step out of the room to take these calls, saying she didn't want to disturb me, but I could hear her laughing and talking animatedly for hours. When I asked what they talked about for so long, she'd give vague answers like just catching up or he's going through some stuff. Then Ryan started having more emergencies that required Emma's immediate attention. His car would break down and he'd need her to pick him up, always at inconvenient times when we had plans. He'd have friendship drama that only Emma could help him work through. He'd be feeling depressed and need someone to talk to, and Emma would drop everything to be there for him. I started feeling like I was competing with Ryan for my own girlfriend's time and attention. Our date nights would get interrupted by his calls. Our weekend plans would get cancelled because Ryan needed Emma's help with something. And whenever I expressed frustration about this, Emma would accuse me of being selfish and not understanding the importance of friendship. The situation came to a head about 6 months ago. Emma and I had planned a romantic weekend getaway to celebrate our 6-month anniversary. We'd booked a nice hotel in a nearby city, made dinner reservations, the whole 9 yards. I was really looking forward to some uninterrupted time together. The night before we were supposed to leave, Ryan called Emma in tears. Apparently, his latest dating situation had gone south, and he was devastated and needed his best friend to help him through it. Emma spent 2 hours on the phone with him, and by the end of the call, she was suggesting that maybe we should postpone our trip so she could be there for Ryan. I couldn't believe it. I told Emma that this was exactly what I'd been talking about. Ryan always seemed to have a crisis whenever we had important plans together. I said it felt like he was deliberately trying to sabotage our relationship. Emma exploded. She said I was being controlling and manipulative by trying to isolate her from her friends. She accused me of being jealous of her friendship with Ryan and said that if I really loved her, I'd understand that her friends were important to her. Ryan has always been there for me, she said. He's never let me down. Never made me choose between him and someone else. He's a real friend, Alex. Maybe you should learn something from him. That comment stuck because it felt like she was comparing me unfavorably to Ryan again. But I tried to stay calm and explain that I wasn't asking her to choose between us. I just wanted her to set some boundaries so that our relationship could have space to grow. But Emma wasn't hearing it. She said I was being paranoid and that my jealousy was becoming a real problem in our relationship. She said Ryan had never been anything but supportive of us being together, and that I was creating drama where none existed. We ended up going on the trip, but the damage was done. Emma was distant and cold the entire weekend, and we barely talked about anything substantial. It felt like there was this wall between us that I couldn't break through. After that weekend, things got even worse. Emma started being more secretive about her communications with Ryan. She'd turn her phone face down when she was with me, or step into another room to text him back. When I asked about it, she said she was just trying to be respectful of my feelings. But it felt more like she was hiding something. Ryan also started making more direct moves. He began suggesting that he and Emma hang out one-on-one more often. He'd invite her to events and specifically mention that it would be just the two of them: concerts, art shows, hiking trips. Emma always asked if I wanted to come too, but Ryan would find reasons why it wouldn't work for me to join them. Oh, I only have 2 tickets. Or it's kind of a small venue, might be crowded with 3 people. Or I thought it would be nice for us to catch up properly without any distractions. Emma didn't seem to see anything weird about these excuses, but they were obviously designed to exclude me. Then came the social media stuff. Ryan started posting pictures with Emma from their hangouts, always with captions that seemed a little too intimate for just friends. Things like, my favorite person in the world, or nobody gets me like Emma does, or some people are just meant to be in your life forever. When Emma would post pictures of us together, Ryan would either not react at all or make backhanded comments like, cute pic. Emma, you look tired though, are you getting enough sleep? Or nice, though I liked your old hairstyle better. I started screenshotting these interactions to show Emma what I was seeing. But whenever I brought them up, she dismissed them as me overanalyzing everything and looking for problems where there weren't any. Ryan's just being a friend, she'd say. He's always been affectionate in his friendships. That's just how he is. But I knew it wasn't just how he was. I'd seen Ryan interact with his other friends, both male and female, and he wasn't nearly as attentive or affectionate with them as he was with Emma. Things finally came to a breaking point about 2 months ago. Emma had been acting strange for a few days, more distant than usual, checking her phone constantly, and seeming preoccupied whenever we were together. When I asked what was wrong, she said she was just stressed about work. Then, on a Friday night when we were supposed to have dinner together, Emma cancelled at the last minute. She said she had to work late on a project. But something felt off about the way she said it. She wouldn't make eye contact, and she seemed nervous. I decided to drive by her office building to see if her car was actually there. It wasn't. Her apartment was dark too. I felt terrible for checking up on her like that. It wasn't like me to be suspicious and sneaky. But my gut was telling me something was wrong. I was about to give up and go home when I decided to check one more place, Ryan's apartment. And there it was, Emma's car, parked right outside his building. I sat in my car for a while, trying to figure out what to do. Part of me wanted to go up and confront them, but another part of me knew that would just make me look like the crazy, jealous boyfriend Emma already thought I was. I went home and waited. Emma didn't call or text all evening, which was unusual even when she was working late. The next morning, she texted me saying she'd been so exhausted after work that she'd just gone straight home and fallen asleep. I knew she was lying, but I didn't know how to bring it up without admitting that I'd basically followed her. So I just said okay and tried to act normal, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something major had happened that night. Emma was acting even stranger than before, more guilty, more secretive, more distant. And Ryan's behavior on social media became even more bold. He started posting cryptic things like, "Sometimes the heart wants what it wants, and the best things in life are worth waiting for." I decided I had to do something. I couldn't keep living in this state of constant suspicion and anxiety. So I planned to have one final, honest conversation with Emma about Ryan and their friendship. I asked Emma to meet me for coffee at our favorite CAF, somewhere neutral, where we could talk calmly. I prepared what I wanted to say, trying to be as non-accusatory as possible while still being honest about my concerns, but Emma beat me to it. As soon as we sat down, she said she had something important to tell me. She looked nervous and guilty, and I immediately knew what was coming. "Alex," she said, "I need to be honest with you about something. Ryan, he told me he has feelings for me." My heart sank, even though this was exactly what I'd been trying to tell her for months. I asked when this happened. "Last Friday night," she said, "when I told you I was working late. I was actually at Ryan's place. He said he needed to talk to me about something important, and when I got there, he told me he's been in love with me for years." I felt vindicated and heartbroken at the same time. "Emma," I said, "this is exactly what I've been trying to tell you for months. I knew he had feelings for you." But instead of apologizing or acknowledging that I'd been right, Emma got defensive again. "It's not his fault, Alex," she said. "He can't help how he feels." And honestly, I'm glad he was finally honest about it. That comment hit me like a truck. "You're glad?" I asked. Emma looked down at her coffee cup. "Alex, I need to tell you something else. Ryan kissed me that night." The words hung in the air between us. I felt like I couldn't breathe. "Did you kiss him back?" I asked, though I was afraid of the answer. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I'm so sorry, Alex," she said. "I didn't plan for it to happen. But when it did, I realized that maybe I have feelings for him too." The rest of the conversation is honestly a blur. Emma told me that she'd been confused about her feelings for Ryan for a while, but she'd convinced herself it was just friendship. She said that when he kissed her, it made her realize that maybe what they had was more than that. She said she cared about me and didn't want to hurt me, but she felt like she owed it to herself to explore what things could be like with Ryan. She said they'd been friends for so long, and maybe the foundation could become something more. I asked her if this meant she was breaking up with me, and she said she thought that would be best. She said it wouldn't be fair to me to stay in a relationship when her heart wasn't fully in it. The whole thing was surreal. For months, I'd been telling Emma that Ryan was in love with her and trying to sabotage our relationship. She'd called me paranoid, jealous, and controlling. And now she was sitting across from me, confirming that everything I suspected was true. But somehow I was still the bad guy for having noticed it. I told Emma that I felt like I'd been gaslit for months, that I'd been made to feel crazy for seeing what was right in front of us. I said it hurt that she dismissed my concerns and made me feel like I was being unreasonable when my instincts had been correct all along. Emma said she understood why I was upset, but she maintained that she hadn't realized Ryan's feelings until he told her directly. She said she genuinely thought I was being paranoid because she didn't want to believe that Ryan would do anything to hurt our relationship, but even as she said this, I could tell she was rewriting history in her mind. She was choosing to believe that Ryan's behavior had been innocent, that his constant texting and subtle digs and convenient emergencies were just coincidences. We ended things that day at the CAF. Emma said she hoped we could be friends someday, but I told her I needed space to process everything. I said maybe someday we could be cordial, but I couldn't imagine being friends with someone who'd made me feel crazy for trusting my own instincts. That was about 6 weeks ago. Since then, I've learned through mutual friends that Emma and Ryan are officially together now. According to our friend group, they're so happy, and it just makes sense because they've been friends for so long. A few of our mutual friends have reached out to me privately to say they always thought Ryan was into Emma and that they're sorry about how things went down. One friend told me that Ryan had actually admitted to him months ago that he was trying to wait out my relationship with Emma because he was convinced they were meant to be together. Hearing that was both validating and infuriating. It confirmed that Ryan had been deliberately trying to undermine our relationship, but it also made me angry that people could see what was happening and didn't say anything to me at the time. I've been going to therapy to work through all of this, and my therapist has helped me understand that this situation wasn't really about me being paranoid or jealous. It was about trusting my instincts when something felt wrong, and not letting other people convince me that my perceptions weren't valid. The hardest part has been accepting that Emma genuinely didn't see what Ryan was doing, even though it seems so obvious in retrospect. My therapist says some people are just naturally trusting and don't pick up on subtle manipulation tactics, but it's still hard for me to understand how Emma could miss all the signs that were so clear to me. I'm doing better now, but this whole experience has definitely changed how I approach relationships. I'm more aware of red flags, more trusting of my own instincts, and less willing to let someone make me feel crazy for noticing concerning behavior. I've also learned that sometimes being right doesn't feel as good as you think it will. Yes, I was vindicated in the end. Ryan was in love with Emma. He was trying to sabotage our relationship, and Emma did have feelings for him. But being right didn't save my relationship or make the betrayal hurt any less. I don't know what the future holds for Emma and Ryan. Maybe they really are perfect for each other and will be happy together. Or maybe Emma will eventually realize that Ryan's behavior toward me was a preview of how he handles perceived threats to relationships with manipulation and undermining rather than honest communication. Either way, I'm glad I'm not part of that dynamic anymore. I deserve to be with someone who trusts me, believes me when I express concerns, and doesn't make me feel crazy for paying attention to what's happening around us. So that's my story. I was right about Ryan being in love with Emma, right about him trying to sabotage our relationship, and right about Emma having feelings for him too. But being right didn't make any of it hurt less. What do you think? Was I handling this situation correctly, or should I have done something differently? Have any of you been in similar situations where your instincts told you something was wrong, but your partner dismissed your concerns? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've learned anything from my story, I hope it's this: trust your instincts. If something feels wrong in your relationship, don't let anyone convince you that you're being paranoid. You know what you see, and your feelings are valid. Thanks for listening to my story. Until next time, trust yourselves and don't settle for relationships that make you feel crazy.